So other objective that I wanted to talk about is which is very relevant to the contemporary state, our conscious state, or of our nation, and probably not just the nation, all across the world. We have a lot of different polarities in our lives. And every day we find the world is so polarized in every single topic. And what is really astonishing is that whichever side you pick, every side has a logical reasons, and they have confidence in what they believe in, and they have really passion to it. Okay, and both feel, both side, they think that in their world they think they're doing the right thing, and so this is very difficult to build bridges in this kind of polarized world. And so I would consider that yoga could be one of the component in building bridges, if we are interested in building bridges. If you want to stay in our side, then you don't need to do any efforts. But if you are considering building bridges, then yoga can certainly be helpful. So we will take a couple of the polarities. Certainly I'm not talking about anything politics. Certainly I would like to be apolitical in every aspect. So I'm not talking about polarities of the political world. I'm talking about polarities of many other aspects of our lives. So one of the largest topic of polarity in our modern world is science and religion. In this polarity, how do we build bridges in this polarity? So religion essentially gives you a recipe. They already have a ready-made code of conduct, morals, and ethics has already been delivered to you. The challenge in the religion is that how you can bring this ethics and morals as your spontaneous nature, or how do you bring those ethics and morals at the level of experience? When we hear such a great wisdom, rather as a church or rather as a temple or a mosque or whatever the center of worship, when we hear the wisdom, it really elevates us and makes us feel, wow, this is a great wisdom. The moment we walk out of this building, then it becomes less and less empowering. And then we go to our house, it becomes even less empowering. And then when you walked out of the house, and the Monday morning, dealing with our co-workers becomes even bigger challenge. So how do we bring those ethics and morals at the experiential level? And that's where yoga could be an adjunct tool to our religion to help those things as a part of it. Like some of the aspect of religion can teach the love and compassion for everybody. It's a great thought. If everybody achieves that state, then we'll have a very peaceful and better world. Yoga is, in essence, when we talked about expanding our conscious experience beyond our individuality, means basically expanding our circle. And essentially, the practices of yoga can help us to bring love and compassion, not just limited to our individuality, not just limited to the people that we belong in a family, but in a much larger circle. So it can be, on the other side of the aisle, the science, where young individuals are more and more identifying themselves as, or they're seeking a spirituality without religion, spirituality without any specific do's and don'ts. They rely on their conscious experience. They rely on data, the science that has been done on what is ethical and what is moral. However they arrive ethics and morals, they still have a challenge to incorporate in their conscious experience. So when we have a yoga class and a both aisle, we can bring those two people together to achieve the same conscious experience. So that's essentially what I mean by polarity. Now, there are other polarities in the economic realm that we have often talked about, socialism versus capitalism. I'm not going to talk about which economic is better or what we need, what's the need of the hour today in our nations or across the world. We see experiment of capitalism that has improved the life of or lifted the poverty line or improved the life of many people in the world, or the poorest of the poor in this country still have a lot more than a rich person, let's say 50 years ago. So there is a significant successful experiment, but at the same time, it has also shown some of the failures in our contemporary world where we talked about the wealth inequalities and various other things. Again, I don't want to go too much into the economic aspect. But same way, capitalism and socialism both has shown a success as well as the failure. So what I'm trying to say here is that we are focusing too much on ideologies. We're not focusing too much on empowering the people who are holding those ideologies. So other example is, let's say that, again, I'm not going into a gun debate, but just simple example is, hand is carrying a gun. What is more relevant? Who's holding that gun is more relevant. Is this individual a police officer, soldiers at the border, rather this individual is about to be a victim trying to protect him or herself? So who is holding the hand? That is more important. In the same way, all the ideologies, if a competent person, empowered person, ethical person, whatever ideology that is holding is going to make society better. So you can have a capitalistic leader, or if they are ethical, empowering, and their circle of consciousness is larger, they're going to benefit the society. It's not the ideology, it's the person who's holding it is more relevant. So anyhow, so again, we can pick many other polarities in our lives and can make a case that how yoga can benefit to bring these polarities together in our highly polarized world. The other polarities that we often see in the spiritual realm, the inner world versus external world. We talked about a little bit earlier that we have great tools empowering the external world, and we created immense amount of comfort in external life, but we have not so much empowered our inner world. And so in these two polarities, we see, I try to avoid any specific celebrity or anybody's name, because then, again, that polarized audience nowadays. But so there was one very famous reporter. When he had a vision, or not vision, when he had a picture of what the third world countries are, or what, let's give an example. I don't like to call India as a third world country. It seems like more of emerging countries. But anyway, he has a certain pictures of India where before he went in, he had a certain kind of picture. When he went there, his entire philosophy of what this country is has changed. What I mean by that is, so this is the country, the nation that we live in. It is probably the richest nation on the earth, or powerful nation on the earth. And we would expect that this nation should be also the happiest nation in the world. The reason being that is reason that we are laughing on our own discrepancies. Why is this there? And I would be one of the person that would know that in average of 25 patients that I see a day, at least 5 patients would require some sort of mental health help, and which is very staggering. When this individual was traveling to India, who was actually eventually going to interview at the Dalai Lama, when he was traveling to India, he did not find that sort of anxiety and stress and depressions in the people that he experienced throughout. And he was really puzzled that they have a lot less than we do here, yet they're a lot more happier. Not that I'm saying that India is more happier than us. There are immense amount of problems in their nations, probably far more problems than we have. But the example that I'm trying to get across here, point I'm trying to get across here, is that even though empowering the external world, we have not been able to empower the internal world. And that's where in this polarity, this polarity is probably the biggest challenge of our time, that how we can empower both. How can we be rich with all the comfort, at the same time our inner world is also blissful and living in ecstasy in every moment. So that's another challenge. So the yoga essentially could be a balancing force in these two different worlds that we live in. So another polarity can be addressed with yoga. Now we can go on and talk about many other polarities here, but I think you got a basic idea what I mean by building bridges among various polarities. Now there's another movement is happening in our nation, is looking for happiness or the blissful state through chemicals. Now, rather those chemicals are medications or prescription medications, which I'm a part of the problem, or the various other legal or even illegal recreational drugs. This is another things happening. Now, the moment the certain social structure that we had built over many, many centuries through the religious infrastructure, when this is breaking, the young individuals are looking for a solution to bring happiness in their lives, and it's very challenging. And so younger generations becoming more and more resort to chemicals, a chemical way of happiness. So this is another challenge that we have in our nations, in terms of as a medical professional, as well as in a legal aspect or a criminology of that goes with the chemical stuff. We have a crisis in opioid. We have crisis in many other drugs that were not only young generations, but people from all across generations are looking for happiness through chemical, rather as medication, prescription drugs, or the other recreational drugs. So this is a big claim that yoga can make, is to create the chemistry, create the state of happiness without any external chemicals. So this is another a claim that yoga would like to make that can bring in our society and across the world. So that's essentially I wanted to talk about on that topic. Now,